Well, hey guys, welcome to another edition and episode of Free Thinking with Montel. Of course, I'm your host, Montel Williams, and today we have an incredible story of resilience, determination, and never giving up. Our guest is Mr. Emanuel Manny Simmons. He's a retired Master Sergeant for the United States Marine Corps, a professional boxer, a Purple Heart recipient, and someone who has faced unimaginable challenges. From surviving the Beirut bombing to continuing his military service and thriving in his boxing career. Manny's story is truly inspiring, and we're so happy to have him with us today, so let's get to it. Manny, welcome, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you, Montel. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, sir. Let's start from the beginning. You were born in Brooklyn, raised in Harlem. What was it like growing up there, and how did that shape your life?
Well, growing up in Harlem, I can't speak too much about Brooklyn because I was a young kid. I moved to Harlem when I was in my third grade. But growing up in Harlem, it was more about being outside and growing in with the culture of what was going on in Harlem. I wasn't aware that Harlem was this negative term for young black men at the time, but I blended in with the culture, and it wound up leading me to the things that I started doing.
Incredible. Obviously, talk to me a little bit more. So you grew up there. Where'd you go? Did you go to college? When did you enlist? Let's talk a little bit more about your history.
Well, I did elementary, junior high school. I went to high school in the Bronx. After that, I started working jobs around. I did jobs at Saks Fifth Avenue, taught myself how to type. I worked a marketing firm, and then I decided I wanted to pursue my career in boxing. I was boxing when I was in high school. I turned pro while I was in high school, and I've been pushing that for a long time, getting better, learning the skills.
Well, you had a pretty impressive boxing career with 46 amateur bouts. You had only 2 losses. Can you tell me a little bit more about now? You were a boxer first before you went into service, or did you start boxing in the service?
I was a boxer before I went into service. I started boxing when I was 13.
Gotcha. Okay. And when did you turn pro?
I turned pro when I was 19.
Okay. And that had to have been, quite a transition. At that time that you turned pro, let me see, what year was that? What year?
1979.
79. So you were still at the tail end of the Ali career, right?
The who?
Muhammad Ali?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I started boxing in 76. Well, really, honestly, in 74 and a half in the Marine Corps. I started boxing in the Marine Corps. I'm kind of opposite of you. I started boxing in the service. Ended up going to the Naval Academy. When I was at the Naval Academy, I won the brigade championship at the Naval Academy. All amateur, though. I never turned pro. I honestly made the U.S. Boxing team in 76, 77. But I ended up having an injury to my left knee that completely ended my boxing career.
Okay.
Yep. So for you turned pro. Let's talk a little about who you managed by. How many pro fights did you have?
I had a total of 4 before I came into the Marine Corps, and then I had another 4 outside of the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Or should I say, while I was in the Marine Corps?
While you were in the Marine Corps, you were still boxing as a pro outside.
Right.
Gotcha.
I would train on the base I was at and drive to New York and go see my trainer, and my trainer would match up the fights, and I would fight.
And so you went to boot camp clearly in Paris Island, right?
Yes.
That's the same place I did. And where was your first duty assignment once you got out of, what was your MLS first off?
My MLS was a basic warehouseman, 3051.
Okay. So when your first duty station was where?
Well, I went to school in Albany, Georgia. It was Marine Corps Logistics Base, Albany, Georgia. That's where we learned how to do our work as a supply warehouseman.
Okay. And then you said that you were, while on active duty, you were driving from Georgia up to New York?
Georgia to New York.
Go ahead, my friend. And clearly your command didn't mind that, right?
Well, it was on the weekend.
Got it. So you didn't have to tell them about it, right? So, I mean, that was faring well for a while until you got transferred, right?
Yes, and my next duty station was Camp Lejeune.
Okay. And you still able, were you able to fight out of Camp Lejeune?
Yes, it was closer.
Okay.
The drive was shorter.
And what you had, you said you had 4 pro fights. So how did you do in those? 3 and 4? Three out of four?
I did. I lost my first one and won the next three.
Wow. And then I guess you got deployed, right?
Yes, I went to Beirut.
Beirut. Let's talk a little bit about that because you were in that Beirut barracks bombing. And how long were you there before the incident took place?
Before the bombing, I was there 6 months.
6 months. And so let's walk us through that day, that fateful day when it happened. What went down?
Well, well, that Saturday we was visited by a band from Atlanta, Georgia. It was pretty much a holiday routine day because everybody wanted to see the band, but everybody were loading up sandbags. And if you wasn't loading sandbags, you was on duty somewhere. You had guard duty, so you was on post because we heard that we was going to have some type of skirmish, uh, whether it be that weekend or that next week. So we was preparing. So we were setting up bunkers, learning our different battle sites or battle stations, and get ready to hunker down and get ready to fight.
Now, I guess a lot
But
of,
then
I was going to say, so just interrupt you. Sorry. A lot of people at home would think, oh, wait, you're a warehouseman, but you even had to get ready for the battle. But I guess you did, right?
well, I was with headquarters battalion, so we were rear area security. So we had to protect the compound.
Got it.
So we had all of the headquarters elements right there.
All right. So you're in preparation of. Did you have some downtime? It's what you went back into the barracks, right?
Right. It was right at the back of the barracks, but my living quarters was in that building.
Okay.
So we had rooms there. That's where we slept at. But I was on the road delivering things to different companies, whether it be more sandbags or whether it be C-rats or MREs at the time. I was the driver and the deliverer at that point.
And you had just come back. I guess you got back. Were relaxing at the end of the day.
Well, when the band left, we started taking some small arms fire somewhere around the different area around the perimeter of the base, the compound. And so then it started getting heavier at night. And then we went into a condition one, and everybody manned their battle stations. So we was there for a while, but it was a lot of uh, small arms fire going to the line companies, the Alpha Bravo, and they were protecting us on the line. So as they were protecting the line from the compound from the line on the line, rear area security was doing their part.
Gotcha. And now you look back in hindsight, some of that small arm fires was really kind of a distraction, right?
Yes, yes.
They were trying to distract you guys, and then I guess they were you. You didn't know when the vehicles started approaching, right? You had no knowledge of that, right?
No, we had no idea it was going to be an attempted terrorist bombing.
Bombing. And so again, keep walking me through this. So you're in the back of the building. You're still. Are you on station, or are you getting ready to go to bed, getting ready to rest? What?
Well, we were in our fighting holes.
Got it.
All right, so we were setting up the perimeter around the compound, and later on that evening, we started hearing small arms fire at a distance. So it was rifles, pistols. It wasn't no big explosion. So majority of the people that was in the rear area security was able to go to their rooms and relax, but they had to stay ready.
Gotcha. And you were one of those. They had to stay ready.
I was one of those, and I went to my room, took off my helmet, got in my cot, strapped the sling around my ankle, around my leg, and laid down on my cot. And then when I woke up from there, I was buried under the
You
building.
didn't even hear a blast.
Didn't hear blast.
And I mean, explain this to people because people, what was it, like a 13-story building? How big was that building?
It was 4
Four
stories.
stories, 4-story building. And did the whole building come down or half the building came down?
The entire building came down. I was living on the second floor.
So you were trapped under 2 stories above you and 1 story below you.
Correct.
How long were you trapped there? I mean, did you think? Walk me through this, my friend. I mean, did you think that you wake up, boom, yeah, you're covered from head to toe? First off, of course, you probably checked yourself to see if you were injured, right?
Well, I couldn't move. The only thing I was able to move was my right arm. So I laid there thinking, trying to figure out what happened. And as I was moving my arm around, I couldn't feel my left arm. I thought it was off.
Ah,
So I was reaching around for my left arm, and then I felt my hand and my wrist. So I grabbed it, thinking that they can sew it back on.
gotcha.
I was going to take it with me.
Hmm.
So, and at that time, from there, I started trying to make myself laugh just to keep myself calm. And so I was talking to myself, trying to make myself laugh, not understanding that my face was ripped open. Uh, I was still burning from the blast. My pigmentation was burnt off. I had a broken shoulder, and that's why I couldn't feel my left arm. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing a lot of yelling, a lot of machinery, and I called out, "Hey, help me, get me out of here." And so, even with all that noise, somebody heard me yelling. And so he said, "You okay down there, bud? You okay down there, bud? We coming to get you." So they started digging. They needed a vehicle to pull this big boulder off. Once they pulled the big boulder off, I was able to feel some air coming down my neck. And then that's when I know they had a path to get to me.
And once they got you out of there, what was the extent of all your injuries? You had an open wound in your face, you had a broken shoulder, any damages to your legs, torso, what?
Eardrum was busted. I had shrapnel wounds. Different pieces of metal and glass was in my legs, chest and arms. I had a collapsed lung, uh, and my cheek was ripped open. I had second and third degree burns on my arms, legs, and face. My pigmentation on my face was totally off.
Wow. And how long were you in recovery in hospital?
I was in the hospital in Landstuhl, Germany, I think for about a week and a half. And they transferred me to Frankfurt, Germany, and there for a couple of days. And then they flew me to Camp Lejeune.
And at this point in
And
time, were you not concerned whether or not you could actually stay on active duty?
yes, I wanted to stay in, contrary to what my family wanted me to do. I wanted to do 20 years, and that was my first year in the Marine Corps.
Insane.
And so a lot of my friends got out, uh, whether it be a choice of their own or based on the observation that they demonstrated. Well, I fought to stay in, and it took me 2 years to convince the Marine Corps and the Naval Board that I can do what Marine Corps required me to do.
And I should say you're kind of saying that and passing by it, but you were in physical therapy and therapy for 2 years straight, were you not?
I was going to physical therapy, I was seeing a psychiatrist, and I was still in the training. But I wasn't in the intense of the training that everybody else was doing. They still wanted to keep me under observation.
Gotcha. And I mean, Manny, you have to understand that just thinking about your level of injury, I don't know how many people would want to stay in. What was the driving force that wanted you to stay, wanted you to be there? Why?
The guys that I were in that building with, the friends and the bonding that we had, we always talked about staying in, being sergeant majors, and retiring and still staying in touch with each other. So those guys, we were tight.
Mm-hmm.
And so because they wasn't able to do it, I chose to stay in for them and retire just like we had planned.
Looking back at that, I mean, you stayed in for 27 more years, right? Or 26 more years.
26 more years.
26 more years, reached and achieved that sergeant major rank. How difficult was that for you the entire time? I mean, having survived something as just earth shattering as you survived, I would wonder that I know that they worked with you and they helped you with you had some psychological treatments and people were there for you, but at the same time, man, that voice in the back must have been saying, never again. I ain't gonna have this happen to me again. Why am I bothering? What drove you, my friend? I understand.
Well, for me, it was a challenge.
What's that?
I wanted the challenge. The guys, I mean, we were tight. And in the short time that I was in the Corps at that particular time, every day we were together. Every day we believed in each other. The training that we had, the bond that we developed, I wasn't going to let them down, regardless of what was going on in the Marine Corps. My goal was to push through and make it to 20 years. That was my goal, 20 years. But when I got to 20 years, I wasn't ready to get out. So I re-enlisted again and I wound up staying till 26 years. And so by the time it was all said and done, it wound up being 26 years, 8 months, and 19 days.
That's incredible, my friend. To say thank you for your service is an understatement. But even after retiring, you didn't slow down, right? You've been a junior ROTC instructor. You've earned a degree in human services management, and you're working on your master's right now. Tell me a little bit about your current passion for boxing and this boxing gym that you started.
Well, I always wanted to own my boxing gym. I thought I was a very good student and learned boxing. I never seen myself as staying in boxing to become a world champion. I just loved the form of boxing and the art of it. I mean, it was amazing to me. And so I wanted to teach kids the same thing. So that's what I'm doing now. And also Rocksteady Boxing, which is an organization that works with those with Parkinson's disease. So the boxing portion, as you know, Muhammad Ali had Parkinson's.
Yes.
And
his Parkinson's was probably boxing induced. At least that's what some say.
Well, some will say that.
Okay.
But I believe we all have the gene in us. And if it decides to wake up for whatever reason, it might get triggered by something else. Okay. And not specifically boxing.
You got back in the ring as a mentor and a trainer, not as a boxer yourself, did you not?
Correct.
Okay. I can imagine, was that left shoulder, so you had some trouble with that jab after that severe break.
Well, the jab came back pretty good. I had to let the cheek heal. I couldn't take a punch in the jaw because I had to let it heal from the inside and the outside. It was a whole clear throat ripped open.
Wow. And I mean, now just how much joy are you getting out of mentoring and giving back to the next generation?
Oh, I love it. I have kids in there from 6 years old to, my Parkinson boxers are 80 years old. So I train the kids all day. We got our first Golden Glove champion this year. I have kids there that's looking forward to being in the 2028 Olympics. So that gives me another 4 years of motivation. These are the things that I live for. These are the things that help me with my PTSD. It pushes forward. I have to continue planning for their next 4 years. I have so many parents coming to me and telling me their kids are doing so much better working out in this gym, learning boxing.
And if people wanted to get more information about your gym and where it's at, what are the stats? Where do they go? Rocksteadyboxing.com or what?
Rocksteady Boxing. They can go to 10 Rounds of Fitness at yahoo.com. We're working on a website right now,
Mhm.
but 10 rounds of fitness, and you can do that with Instagram or Facebook.
And you were
10 rounds of fitness.
and you were saying that not only does it help those mentorees, but it also helps you, right? I mean, what's been
Yes,
helping you cope with and deal with your PTSD, and does that still come back now to you?
yes, it do. When I'm out in the crowd, I'm always on the edge. When I'm in a restaurant, I got to take account of everybody. It took me a long time to get used to being inside of a building again after the bombing, or coming back and worrying about somebody bringing in the bag and not leaving with that bag.
Right.
So I have to observe everywhere I go in order for me to feel comfortable.
Wow. And I'm sure during your active duty stay after you recovered, I mean, and you continue to go through therapy, were you able to share some of your experience of how to cope with some other active duty members who had been through other things that they'd seen?
Yes, yes, I've shared this throughout my time in the Marine Corps when I became a drill instructor, uh, and still do because I have a lot of Marines that come into the gym.
Yeah, I should slow down a little bit and back up again. So after your recovery and after you had to go through a medical board, they said you were fit. What MO did they change your MOS or did they give you a different assignment? What happened?
Well, actually, they didn't change my MOS; they gave me an addition MOS.
Got it.
I went to Albany, Georgia, and uh, believe it or not, I was TAD to become a military police officer. So they put a 45 on my hip, and then they put me in charge of the weapons warehouse.
Wow. And you did that for years. And then what are some of your other posts?
I did that for 2 years. I left there and went to New River Air Station, working in my MOS in supply. I was a supply chief. After that, I went to Okinawa, stayed there for a year, left Okinawa for a year, became a drill instructor, left being a drill instructor after 3 years, became an OCS instructor, Officer Candidate School, left that, went back to Okinawa, became an equal opportunity, a hazmat specialist. They sent me back to school for that. Then I left Okinawa, became a monitor, an enlisted assignment monitor. And then I wound up ending, I went back to Okinawa and became a equal opportunity advisor for 3 Meth. After that, I came back to Camp Lejeune and became a Marine Corps boxing coach.
I have spoken to a couple of other service members who survived that Beirut bombing, and I know that there was some compensation that was given. Were you able to achieve or receive any of that compensation?
Yes,
Good. And that's what's helped to kind of keep you stable and keep you moving, right?
yes, it helped me, it helped my family, helped me live a better life, a better quality of life that after retirement.
Excellent. And now that you've retired from that career, is your primary role now running your gym?
My primary role is my gym. I still have 2 more semesters for my master's, so eventually I'm gonna get there.
And what's your master's going to be in?
Management and leadership.
Management leadership. Huh. And, I'm sure that all the years of experience and leadership positions that you had while on active duty has helped shape your perspective of what you're doing now, right?
Yes, yes, it helps me a lot. Teaching became a passion of mine from the time I was a drill instructor until this very day. Every job I had in the Marine Corps was about teaching Marines.
And, when you look at looking back and now looking back to look forward, I mean, what advice would you give some of your fellow service members who, I do a show that's called Military Makeover where we work with families and we literally, we rebuild the houses or we renovate the homes of some very deserving veterans from across the country. We renovate them from the ground up. But I often And I'm going to tell you, probably 99% of the veteran families that we work with, they're still suffering today. And some find it very hard to find peace. I mean, what advice would you give them right now in how to at least start putting that one foot, that good foot forward every day in a direction that helps to resolve some of that angst?
Well, for me, it was finding a purpose, finding my purpose and understanding that there's more to me than what I accomplished and seek out to accomplish more. This is what keeps me busy. This is what keeps me active, and this is what keeps my mind focused. You know, when I went back after I retired, I went back and got my degree. So it wasn't easy, but I completed it. You know, and there was so many brothers that I was with in the Marine Corps that wanted to do the same thing. So I always think about them with everything that I do. If they're not able to do it, I'm going to do it for them and I'm going to complete it. I can't start it and not finish it because I'm sure they would have finished it.
I'm looking at you right now. You look like you're in pretty good shape. What are you doing right now to maintain your physical shape? And you know, I know you're not boxing yourself other than training boxing,
No,
right?
I'm still in the gym. I still work out. I just had a triple bypass in June
Okay.
and I'm just trying to build my body up again, get it stronger. So I still go in the gym and hit the bag, not as hard as I did before, not yet. Give me a couple months, I'll be doing 10 rounds again.
uh, well, I mean, what ways have you? Clearly, it's the integration of the boxing and your lifestyle and the service that's literally helped you in every aspect of your life, has it not?
Well, I had a coach, my very first coach, Connie Bryant. Every time I wanted to stop, every time that I wanted to take a break, he would tell me, "You're not done yet. There's more." And he kept telling me, "There's more." And I kept on reaching for that more. And that's what I do now.
And I mean, I'm sure that that's part of the importance of having a coach and having connections in your community to support you in whatever you're doing is something that other veterans ought to be looking out for themselves, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Staying connected with the community, staying connected with friends, right?
And I'm always staying connected. I'm always communicating. I'm always checking on them. They check on me. Even the ones that was there when I was in Beirut. Some of us that did survive, we still stay together. Next month is the 41st anniversary of the bombing. 41 years.
Wow.
And we still communicate. We still hang out together when we get together. So everybody will be here next month.
And what are some of
Yes.
your goals, my friend, for the future? I mean, you clearly got a lot more to do, right?
Well, ring of resilience. I want to get more veterans that's struggling with PTSD into the gym to work in that confidence building. These building blocks help. It helped me. It keeps me going.
Absolutely. Well, anything else you want to share, my friend?
Well, I want to thank you. Thank you for even reading my bio and getting interested. I want to thank you for your service
Uh,
and the things that you continue to do with the veterans.
I really appreciate that, sir. Absolutely. Come from you, I really appreciate that. Um, you know, if people again wanted to get a hold of you, want to reach out to you, are you thinking about writing a book about your experience? Because I think it would be pretty powerful.
Yes, there's a book out now by David Brown. It's called The Devil's Den. He wrote about me and other uh, Marines that was in Beirut with us. I think I'm the first chapter, so uh, you'll get to see me younger as a kid, the gym that I came from, the area I grew up at. Very good book. Uh,
Devil's
Been
Den.
working.
I'm sure that's available on Amazon and anywhere else you can get a book.
Yes, it's available on Amazon.
But do you intend to write one yourself, or have somebody write one?
Yes, I am.
Yes, yes.
I've been encouraged to put everything on paper, and people need to hear about my life. So
I especially think they need to hear about, even though I mean it's probably torturous for you to live back and look back at, but just the process of recovery from the extensive injuries that you had.
yes, but there's more to it. I thought the hardest thing I would go through was, the 7 heart surgeries, then the brain tumor, but it just keep on coming, and I'm still pushing. I'm still able to serve my community.
Wait a minute, you just threw that out there, and I passed. Was when did the brain tumor happen?
The brain tumor happened when I was a boxing coach. It was 2008. February of 2008, I had a brain tumor, and I was losing my vision. I lost all peripheral vision. It was pressing on my octave nerve, pituitary tumor, and they had to go in and remove it. And that's why I decided to retire.
Got it. Got it. And that was done while on active duty.
Correct.
Wow, my friend. You have definitely had a journey that's well worth chronicling, and I truly hope that you get that book written, so that I'd love to have you back after you write it.
I will be back.
Okay. Hey, absolutely, sir. Well, look, I said, say thank you enough for being here today. It's been just as inspirational as I thought it was going to be. Your story is a testament to the human spirit's resilience and determination. From surviving that Beirut bombing to thriving in your boxing career and continuing to serve your community, you truly have a lot to live for, a lot to be thankful for. So I want to also
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing the story and your journey with us. And to all of our listeners out there, thank you so much for continuing to tune into Free Thinking. Make sure you hit that little subscribe button down there, because that helps us tell more stories like this that I know you are just wishing that you could hear more about. So, Manny, again, thank you so much for being a part of today's Free Thinking. Look forward to seeing you again, sir. You take care. And, from our mutual friend, Joe, who set us up, I want to thank Joe Vonda also
Yes.
for connecting us, sir.
Yes. Thank you. And thank you for having me again, Montel.
Sir, you take care. Be well. Love that family of yours, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time on the next Free Thinking. Thanks for joining me on Free Thinking with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear feedback, so please send us your comments.